Rip Call of Duty Vanguard. As we approach the end of its life cycle, Modern Warfare 2 even being closer and closer, it's time to say goodbye to Call of Duty Vanguard, a game that I think has gotten way too much hate, even from myself, for being one of the worst Call of Duty games ever. Is it the worst Call of Duty game ever? No, I don't think so. I think my kind of attitude towards it has changed over the last few months, and over the last few weeks of playing it, I feel like it's a better Call of Duty than people are going to give it credit for, and I think to a certain degree people will start giving it credit later on. Now, the thing that I feel like as though probably really hurt this game the most was back in December of last year. A lot of people probably were pissed off when the game released. A lot of people seemed to be enjoying the game, thought it was a very good Call of Duty, myself included. I had very good, some good praise about it. Yes, there were issues that I noticed came in from the beta and blah, blah, blah. The traditional Call of Duty shit that we always see every single launch, regardless of betas, alphas, whatever come out. And it seemed as though that the game was still in a good position to be, a good Call of Duty. But then, obviously, we're a month into the game, and the shit comes out. All the players who have been just grinding the game, because I have a job. I'm just going to throw it out there. Now, not humble bragging, but I have a job. Most of you probably have jobs. All of a sudden, you get on these people who already have somehow Damascus camo and diamond and every other camo under the sun, every attachment, have grinded their way through the game and exposed all the big issues. But guess what? The developers went on a big sabbatical of sorts and were gone for like 2 or 3 weeks. And all of a sudden, they came back to what essentially is the scene from Community, where where Donald Glover's character comes back with pizza, and it's just a fire going on around them. It's pretty much that. That's literally what happened, and it was a disaster of a game. But was it really that big of a disaster? Not really. I think there was a lot of weapon balance issues that went on. There was a lot of glitches, bad map design. But even the map design wasn't terrible. I would argue that a lot of the maps that were in this game, from the start of the game even to now, are a lot better than miles away better than what's in Modern Warfare 2019. Like, there is pretty much no competition. I think if you picked these maps apart and started talking about these maps, I'd argue to a lot of ways that these are good 3-lane maps for the most part. A lot of the doors, the flanking routes, the map flow was great on every single one of them. I never really had that much of a problem, except for maybe 1 or 2 of them. Berlin might have been one of the worst maps I've probably played, but I don't think there were many other real bad maps that were in this game. There were a lot of glitches. I know that there was the Christmas event with the Krampus event was terrible, but like a lot of that stuff was planned out, and I think it's good that they got that out of the way now versus doing it again later. Hope for fucking God we never see it again, but the weapon balance was pretty bad for the most part. I never had that much of a problem in terms of, other than like people were running with a BAR, STG over and over, and it still happens to this day. But to a certain degree, I mean, it wasn't in the worst spot I've seen. I think they added ninja camo, not ninja camo, ninja perks. A lot of different perks that were added into the game. Felt like it was just a lot of fan feedback. Yes, I probably have to go in and give better examples, but ninja was the big one, and it seemed like it worked very well. And it seems like that's a very traditional Sledgehammer game. Here's a hot take for all of you out there. Sledgehammer Games develops very good games. They develop games based off the feedback of the community, and it has always baffled me in some weird way when they release their games, people end up just going, this is terrible, and it's never that bad. It's actually, you kind of question, you're like, this is the game you want, you assholes, except it's just in a Vanguard World War II setting, which I guess really does not help it. I guess a lot of people are fair to critique the World War II setting. I personally enjoy the World War II games. I think it's good to go back to their roots a little bit. But also, I understand it's not for everybody, and I'm in a very small minority of people. Maybe if they did something else, that would be great. But, I get where people are probably coming from when they say they don't like it. A couple big flaws that I did say I noticed was the campaign's really bad. One day, if I ever hear someone say, oh yeah, the campaign for Vanguard, that was one of the best campaigns ever, like, I'm calling a doctor. Like, I'm gonna find you a psychologist or someone to just take a study on your brain or your mental well-being, because this is easily one of the worst stories I've ever played. All the characters are extremely unlikable in every way, shape, and form. The ending of the story is downright laughable. It is so bad. There's no redeeming qualities in this game. The villains are terrible. The characters are terrible. The idea of you doing flashbacks in between everything as, like, this current day shit is happening, it's terrible. Also, the Warzone story, I know I'm jumping around, but the Warzone story is some of the hottest form of ass I have ever seen in my entire life. No offense to Captain America, but this was horrendous. I just couldn't believe what I was playing, because they essentially were skipping around and doing different things, but I don't even know what the point was. I think they pretty much were just handicapped at some point and just said, fuck it, do whatever you want. But for the most part, the main campaign that came out was terrible. It's not a good story. It was definitely built very quickly, and they just did what they could with what they had. The zombies, another thing, the zombies is hot ass. It is so bad. It is some of the worst. Like, if I've had my complaints about the zombies and saying that it's a bad zombies, that it's never been good, or at least the most recent 2 zombies, Cold War and this one, are very bad. I think that's a pretty good debate to have with people and say, oh, well, it's not that bad. I mean, it's pretty bad. But this was definitely the laziest zombies I've ever played. They basically just took multiplayer maps and maybe a few campaign sections, mashed them into one thing, and then just released it to the public. And I don't know how they got away with it. They re-released Shino Numa. Like, there was nothing innovative about the zombies at all. The maps were still bad and everything else. But again, rip Call of Duty Vanguard. I mean, it's a sad time. It's going to end up being talked about as a decent Call of Duty. I think people will probably put it back to being decent or up there on their list. I kind of want to know what you think, though. What do you think of Call of Duty Vanguard? Do you think it's a good Call of Duty or a bad Call of Duty? Do you think that they should, Sledgehammer should make another Call of Duty? I know that apparently there's a rumor going around they're going to make Advanced Warfare 2. Sure, whatever. But let me know what you guys think of Call of Duty Vanguard. Did you ever enjoy it? Again, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and, well, bye.